'Tis the time of year where all of my friends complain about how cold it is in my apartment. And to that I say, put some socks on. Do you think I'm made of money? I'm not paying that electric bill. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda and 'tis the freaking season. It is the most wonderful time of the year. It's pie season. Really quick before I get into this video, I do want to let you guys know that the mic that I've been using faithfully for the last 4 years officially conked out and died on me during the filming of this video. So just for the intro and outro of this video, the audio quality might not be the best. I'm really sorry about it. I don't even know how good it was before, or if you'll even notice, but if it's particularly echoey or staticky or anything like that, I'm really sorry. Hopefully I can get a new mic either before the next video or in the new year. It's just gonna have to be this way for now for this video, so I'm really sorry about it. But anyway, it is officially the holiday season. I know a lot of people have events and parties and things are going to, and just seeing their family and friends, and I wanted to give you guys a recipe that I have been working on for a very long time, and I am extremely happy with how it has come out. When I was thinking about what recipe I was going to put out for November, it dawned on me that I've never done pie on this channel before. I'm not really sure how that's possible. I do tarts all the time. I love pie. I don't know why I haven't done it. We're changing that this month. I'm giving you guys a pie, which I think is perfect. And I will be giving you guys some tips and tricks on how I make my pie crust, how I like my pie crust. We're gonna be par baking. We're gonna be making a really simple filling that is super beginner friendly. Even if you've never made pies before, I promise you cannot mess this up. And then it's getting topped with the most delicious ganache, the most perfect seasonal ganache. So if you are interested in learning how to make a pumpkin chai sugar pie, then keep on watching. So this recipe came about because one of the bakeries that I used to work at years and years ago, we would put out tarts for Thanksgiving instead of pies, and one of them got topped with this pumpkin ganache. That was so good, and I brought it home for Thanksgiving that year. I made my entire family eat it, and I was thinking about it a lot recently, and I don't have the recipe anymore, but I think I got pretty dang close on my own. If not, this one's even better, which, sorry, but it is. So there's a couple components to this recipe today, and I will be breaking all of them down for you, and I'll also be sharing make ahead tips so that you don't have to do all of this in one day. This is really make ahead friendly, where you can split it up over the course of like 3 or 4 days, honestly, so that if you're super busy or working during the holidays like many of us are, you can still successfully make this recipe. We'll be starting with an all butter pie dough. This is my base pie dough that I use at home for everything. I make it by hand. I have hot hands and it still comes together beautifully every single time. It's flaky, it's buttery, it gets a really good color. So before we get started with anything else, the first thing we're gonna wanna do is make the pie dough. So my pie dough has all-purpose flour, kosher salt, and granulated sugar in it. The granulated sugar acts as a tenderizer and helps inhibit gluten formation, so you end up with an ultra flaky and tender crust. I'm adding my cold and cubed unsalted butter. This is European style butter, and I do really prefer to use it in my pie dough and pastries because when it's cold, it actually stays more pliable because of the fat content. So I'm able to begin working with it pretty much immediately from the fridge and kind of start flattening it out in these disc shapes. You can use American style butter. It just might start to melt a little bit faster and get a little greasy, so you may have to be in and out of the fridge a little bit more often. I'm working the butter in by kind of smearing, rubbing it into the flour like this with just my thumbs and my fingers. This helps to get the butter more into sheets, into flakes, so that when we get the dough together, they stack on top of each other and you get more of a flaky crust.
The reason why I keep shaking the bowl is because when I do, the larger pieces of butter rise to the top and I can kind of figure out where I am in the butter process. I'm looking for butter pieces that are no larger than pea size. We're aiming for a crust that's on the mealier side so that it can support the weight of a wetter filling. And when I'm happy with the butter size that I have, I will start adding my cold water. This is just straight from the refrigerator, so it's pretty cold. And when I'm adding the water, I don't knead the dough at all. I do this kind of tossing motion just to start hydrating the flour. We are obviously going to develop some gluten because that happens whenever flour gets wet, but we're going to try to avoid developing as much as possible and really take care just to hydrate the flour rather than working and kneading this dough. My recipe does say plus more water as needed, and that's because pie dough is like any other dough and it's really reliant on the environment that you're in. If you live in a particularly wet or humid environment, you might be fine and you might not need to add any more water. But if it's drier where you are, you may need to add a few more teaspoons or a few tablespoons to get it to the right consistency. I don't add water directly to the dough. I just wet my hands and continue to toss it until it just comes together as a dough. I just want to see no dry flour patches, but I don't want my dough to be overly wet and kind of slimy, basically. If a clean hand comes away from my dough still clean, then I know that I've properly hydrated it. There's no floury bits and no wet dough stuck to my hand. It does take a lot of practice to make pie dough. I actually was not good at it at all in culinary school, but now that I have to make it quite often for my job, I've gotten pretty good at making it, especially by hand. So I'm gonna wrap this up and refrigerate it and give it a good rest because as much as I tried not to, there is gluten in here and it does need to take a little nap.
Okay, so I am about to roll out my pie dough. This has been sitting in the fridge. This has been sitting in the fridge overnight, but you really just want it to sit for at least like 2 hours. Part of it is to chill the butter down, obviously, but there's also a rest involved because you've created gluten by like working the dough and kind of smushing it all together. So you want to relax the dough so that it rolls out easily. So when people ask if they can just throw pie dough in the freezer, like you can, but it still needs to rest. Just put it in the fridge for a couple hours, or as a make ahead, make it the day before, like I did, and it's good to go. Another way to know if you've added the right amount of water to your dough is that this should be good to roll out immediately from the fridge, which this is. It's like squishy. I can mush it. It's been in the fridge for like 12 hours at least. If you pull your dough from the fridge and it's hard as a rock and you have to let it sit and soften a little bit before you can roll it out, there's nothing really you can do at that point in like adding water really, but for future reference, as you practice and make more pie dough, that's what you're looking for. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll this out. We want it quite thin. It only needs to be about 1/8 of an inch thick. It should be about 14 inches wide. It's gonna be the size of my 9-inch pie plate plus a couple of inches to account for the crimp on the sides. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this rolled out. Okay, so while my crust is freezing, I want to talk about pie weights, baking weights, and like things you can use. If you are new to the channel, these are my baking beans. I've been using them all year long and eventually they will go rancid, but that hasn't happened yet, and so I will continue to use them. I really like using beans as weights because they're super inexpensive. I bought a bag for like $1 or $2, and like I said, I've been using them all year. You can also use rice, you can use unpopped popcorn kernels, you can use sugar, granulated sugar if you'd like. And the nice thing about using granulated sugar is that it caramelizes in the oven while it's baking, but you can still use it afterwards, so it's not totally wasted. One thing that you can buy if you'd like is ceramic pie weights. I really like ceramic pie weights because if you use them, they conduct heat really well, so when your pie crust is par baking or blind baking, not only does the outside cook, but the inside also retains some heat and cooks a little bit as well. Unfortunately, they're kind of expensive and they never sell enough pie weights in one pack. I have one, like a pack of ceramic pie weights, and it doesn't even fill a tart shell. Like, it's so irritating. I know that it's like capitalism and they want you to buy more, but like at this point, why would I buy them? It's so irritating. So yeah, you can really use whatever you want. There's pros and cons to everything. I stick to my baking beans. They work really well, and I see no reason to spend money on anything else at this point. But I think my pie dough is pretty frozen at this point, so I'm gonna go grab my shell and get ready to par bake it. So what we're gonna do is, once our pie shell is frozen, I'm gonna line it with parchment paper. I like to crinkle it up so that it really does fit like the corners of the pie plate well, and then fill it up with my baking beans. Whatever you do choose and whatever you do end up using, you wanna make sure that it fills all the way up to the crust line, like the crimp line of your pie plate, because not only is it gonna weigh it down, but it'll hold the sides up and keep them from slouching while it bakes. We're gonna pop it in the oven and bake it just until you see like a nice golden color on the very edge of the crimp line and the crimp line looks set. Then we'll remove the weights and pop it back in the oven. And we're just gonna cook it until the entire crimp has a nice golden color and the bottom of the crust looks matte and set. If you skip this part of the baking process, you'll probably end up with a raw bottom crust or like a soggy bottom. And honestly, it takes like 10 to 15 minutes to par bake your crust, and then you can pour the filling in while it's still warm and pop it in the oven. There's really no reason to skip this step. It doesn't take very long and you'll get a much better final product at the end of it. So I'm gonna go grab the crust and we'll get ready to par bake it. Oh, I also forgot to mention that if you pull your crust out of the oven after the second bake and it has puffed up some in the middle, that's totally normal, that's totally fine. That just means you have an extra flaky crust. So just use a fork to push the bubbles back down and continue on with the recipe as directed. The pie crust is something you can make multiple days in advance. I probably wouldn't make it more than like 3 or 4 days in advance while leaving it in the refrigerator, but you can make it a month in advance, a full week in advance if you'd like, and leave it in the freezer. And then the night before you're ready to make the pie, you can go ahead and pop it in the fridge to defrost and to thaw out, and then it's ready to go. Okay, next we will be making the chai sugar pie like filling, like the bulk part of this recipe. This pumpkin spice latte is very popular right now, but I'm doing this one for the chai girlies. I see you, I hear you, this is for you. This is not an egg-based custard, it's actually thickened with flour. And as much as I love an egg-based custard, I do think that doing something that is flour or cornstarch based is just a little bit more beginner friendly, a little bit more user friendly. It's so luxurious and creamy that you wouldn't even know that it isn't egg-based if I didn't tell you. And this was actually the moment where I realized that my mic had died. So here is a clip of me making it and talking to the camera where there's no audio, and I will just voice over what I was trying to tell you guys. Yeah.
Do you know how irritated I am that I didn't just do like a regular B-roll style video of me making this filling? I had to go and try to talk and teach during this video. Irritating. Anyway, this is me whisking the flour and the sugars together. This pretty much just ensures that you don't get any flour clumps in the final product because there's so few ingredients here and there's so few opportunities to get those clumps out. It's kind of like making a cornstarch slurry. As far as the chai concentrate goes, you want to make sure you use chai concentrate and not just like cold brewed chai tea. This is from Trader Joe's. You can use whatever your favorite brand is, but if you just use chai tea instead of chai concentrate, the flavor won't be as, well, concentrated. This is me going on a tangent about my vanilla bottle because some people have asked what I'm pouring my vanilla bean out of, or my vanilla extract out of, because the bottle is so massive. This is just my jar of homemade vanilla extract, so it's vodka and vanilla beans, and that's it. Tangent over. So basically you whisk everything together. That's it. The dry ingredients and the wet ingredients, and that's it. You want to make sure that you don't whisk too vigorously because you'll aerate it and get a bunch of bubbles, which isn't a huge deal in this situation because we're going to cover it up with ganache. But if you're not doing that, you can just take a spatula through it to try to pop some of those bubbles if you can. You'll see what I'm talking about if you make this. But I just pour it straight into the par-baked crust, and this will bake at the bottom third of the oven to make sure that the bottom crust cooks all the way through until it's pretty much completely set. Oh yeah, my mic wasn't working here either, but this is me showing off the finished and cooled pie and how excited I am that it pops right out of the pan. She's sturdy, she's dry, not a soggy bottom in sight, and she's beautiful. And that was pretty much all that I wanted to show you.
If I were making this for a party, I would make sure to par bake the crust and bake the full pie with the filling the night before. That way you don't have to bake anything off the next day and it can stay in the refrigerator overnight to cool and completely set up. I would also make this pumpkin ganache the night before. Again, for the same reason, so that it has overnight to stay in the fridge and cool and set up, and you don't have to be worrying about, is it set? Is it too loose? Can I pipe with it? It's just ready for you to use whenever you're at that point. This was actually the trickiest part of this recipe because I needed a ganache that would set up enough and be thick enough to pipe with it and for it to hold a shape on top of your tart. You had to also be able to cut through it because if it was too firm and too thick, it would just completely squash the delicate custard underneath it. So it was kind of weird finding a balance between thickness and pipeability, but also softness and pliability. We will be making this over a double boiler, and that's just to ensure that everything melts very gently. We don't burn anything, we don't overheat anything. You can also do this in the microwave in like 30-second intervals. Just make sure you check on it and stir it in between the 30-second intervals. Again, so you heat it gently and you don't burn or overcook anything. Because I did such a bang up job of recording what I was doing here, I do kind of want to talk about it a little bit.
Basically, I just spooned the chilled ganache into a piping bag fitted with a large, open, round tip, and piped these little dollops all the way around the edge of the pie, of the cooled pie. So everything is cold right now. It's not very even when I do it, and that's totally fine. You can easily scrape up this ganache and restart if you're not really happy with the petal placement, but I just pipe the little dollops and use a small offset spatula to drag through and make this cute little petal shape. You do want to refrigerate this one more time after piping the ganache on, and honestly I would just leave it in the refrigerator until you're ready to serve it to make sure that everything is firm and set.
Fecho o vidro, doce Bahia, no alto da ladeira, aperitivo e piscina, enquanto na ondina tem jacaré e capilinha, no alto da ladeira. Piscina, enquanto na ondina tem jacaré capelinha.
Ta-da! She's beautiful, she's stunning, and also she's sturdy. Look at that. Look at that pie. Pick that up. Okay, well this is not very graceful, but okay, look at that. Look at that. She's beautiful. The bottom of the crust, she's golden and she's cooked. It's so smooth. It is not like gelatinous or starchy or anything like that. It's so delicious. The ganache on top is perfect. I spent a really long time getting the consistency for this ganache right. I also topped the pie with some roasty toasty pepitas. I tossed them in a little bit of butter and cinnamon sugar and baked them at like 350 just until they were like fragrant. And they are such a delicious addition. Just give like a little bit of texture, a little bit of crunch, and a little bit more flavor. I'll also have the instructions for that in the description since I didn't film any of that. It was kind of like a last minute epiphany, if I'm being honest. And as I'm filming this, my little sister, the dutiful cross-tester that she is actually making it right now and serving it for her Friendsgiving. She saw me post a picture of it and she was like, can I have the recipe early so that I can serve it to my friends? I was like, yes, absolutely, here you go. Here's how that went for her. I'm really excited by this recipe. It's one I've been thinking about for a very long time, and I'm really, really proud and excited that it's finally out. I may be cutting it kind of close in November, but you still have the whole holiday season. I will probably be making this for a work party that we're having in December and bringing it to some coworkers. I hope you guys get to try it out. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them down below. I am happy to help in any way that I can. And if you make this pie, please be sure to let me know, tag me. All my social medias are linked in the description box, as well as the full method of prep and full ingredients list for this recipe. And if you're not making this pie, let me know what you're doing for the holidays this year. Are you in charge of biscuits? Are you making the pies? Are you the one frying the turkey? Are you doing a cookie swap? Let me know. I, for one, will not be in the States for Thanksgiving. I'm going on a family trip and I'm really, really, really excited to tell you guys about it when I get back. I hope you guys are all happy and safe wherever you are in the world. I'm sending love and light, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! Look at my sweater. He's so cute. I just wanted to share that. Anyway, bye.